IT Security for Beginners, Part 5, Passwords and Two-Way Authentications. Think that you should log in to every website that you have ever registered on. How many passwords would you have to remember? 5, 10, 100 maybe? So the password is, by no doubt, the most common way to identify yourself on the internet. So security experts are united about the fact that a password is not a good solution and should be replaced as quickly as possible. So the issues with passwords is that you have to remember them all. You can hardly remember every password you ever had or have. And that's where password managing softwares comes in, like for say LastPass. But more on that later. So hackers repeatedly get access to big databases of passwords that they can use to log into your accounts. So in this video I will cover how you can strengthen your passwords. I will show you one example of password, how you can change it to make it more secure, and I will also tell you and show how long time it will take for a medium-sized botnet to crack the password. But let's say passwords will be here for a while, so just get used to it, I guess. How do you choose a good and strong password? So passwords should be long, hard to guess, and contain more than just plain letters. You should use special characters, numbers, combine upper and lower cases. So does that sound like something you could remember? Possibly. Who knows? But everyone is different, so I would say most of the people know they won't remember. But there is, however, a trick to make it easier for you. So now let's take a really bad password and making it better, and I'll also show you changes up here so you can see what changes makes, and also how long time it will take for a medium-sized botnet to crack the password. So let's start. So the password for this example is graphics card with all lower cases. It's an 12-character password, and a botnet should be able to crack that in 16 minutes. So now let's go with the first variation of it that I made. It's a graphics with big G and a card with big C, and that would take a botnet approximately 2 months to crack. So that's a significant improvement right there. So now let's change this up again. Let's put a dot between graphics and the card, and that would take a botnet approximately 40,000 years to crack. You see how small differences can really make big changes in how easily it gets cracked. So now let's change it again, and now we only have some more upper cases and a number and another dot, and that would take a botnet approximately 2 billion years to crack. So now let's change it up again by adding a special character, and that would take a botnet 2 quadrillion years to crack. The last change I made to the password, which adds another special character, and this would approximately take 119 quadrillion years for a botnet to crack. But this last change, hardly anyone will remember it at all. I know I wouldn't. So, but it's just an example. So to crack a password is never impossible, but if you use these steps that I made to change up the password to make it harder to crack, then you will not make it unnecessarily easy for the hackers to crack it. So now you might wonder, How do a password get cracked? So really, how do a password get cracked? So now I'll go over the two most common ways to crack a password. And number one is dictionary attack. That means that it uses a word list to compare against the user's passwords. And the other method is called a brute force. It is similar to a dictionary attack, but it uses algorithms to combine alphanumeric characters and symbols to come up with passwords for the attack. So, as I stated earlier, it takes a lot of time to crack passwords, especially if you combine letters and symbols and the numbers as I did in the earlier example. So, password managing softwares. So let's say you have a lot of logins. Every login has a different password. You can't remember them all. And therefore there is softwares to help. And many of them can even generate passwords for you. So the thing with these softwares is that it stores all your passwords in a database file that is encrypted. And no one can read the database files and the content in it until the right password has been entered to open it. But that password in turn can get cracked, so therefore there is another way to maximize the security you have, and that is by taking a USB flash drive and turning it into a key. And you can't, and the thing is with that key is that you won't be able to access your passwords or the database file until that key or the USB flash drive has been inserted into your PC. So now, here is a couple of softwares that can help you managing your passwords. Dashlane, Keeper, Agile Bits 1Password, and LastPass. So now, let's move over to two-way authentications. So the security experts have deemed passwords to be obsolete, and I can't blame them, because they can be cracked and not safe for that reason. Because the purpose with a login is to make sure only the right person gets access to the information. Let's say, for example, your email. Only you should have access to it. And many mail services have two-way authentications these days. So in order to get a stronger protection, you want to use two-way authentication. So that you enter your password and then you have to authenticate yourself in some other way. Maybe a text message. It's not that good. But let's say, for example, if you have a keyboard with a fingerprint reader, then fingerprint or voice recognition, because almost everyone has a microphone on the phone. Or if you have iPhone X or up, you have Face ID. Many more should use that. I think it works great. I have tested it a lot. Like, I took my wife's phone and tried to unlock it while she was sleeping by holding it to her face, and it was like, no. So the thought behind this is that if a hacker should get hold of your password and try to log in, they wouldn't get any far, because they need another way to authenticate themselves. And how? Should I, let's say, fake your fingerprint? Or your Face ID or your voice? I don't know. How would that work? Because hackers don't usually sit next to you and can they tape your fingerprint. So, two-way authentication is widely used today by, for example, Ubisoft Connect or Uplay, banks, and Google, to name a few. There are a lot more. So now, this is the end of this part. I hope you have enjoyed it. It is certainly fun to make these videos because I love security questions when it comes to IT. So now, if you have enjoyed this and learned something perhaps, please press that like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with your friends so they can learn security. I'll see you all in the next one.